Well, welcome back, everyone. And if you were listening to our last video, the last time we were here, and I'm sure that if you're joining today, you're probably wondering, what could possibly be the last two mistakes? What could be number 4 and 5? And if you're joining us for the first time, we are continuing on our series on financial dream building today. And we are in part 2 of a 2-part session on the top 5 money mistakes. So all we're saying today is avoid these top 5 money mistakes for financial success. And in our last session, we discussed 3 of these 5 money mistakes. Mistake number 1 was having no financial plan for the future. Mistake number 2, living outside your means. And mistake number 3, not having an emergency fund. In this video, we're going to be discussing mistake number 4, which a lot of us are guilty of and wish there was more emphasis on this topic in school. And of course, we're going to be discussing number 5, which a very large percentage of people I know do not want to discuss this topic, even if they were caught on their best days, right? So Glenn, thanks for joining me again this week.
Thanks for having me back. Great to be here.
And I will just get right into the discussion, Glenn. So on my list for number 4 is waiting too long to start saving for retirement. What did you have to say on this topic, Glenn?
Unfortunately, it happens more often than it should. And I mean, a lot of times I get told, there's just no room, which means you need it more than the other person because, things are that tight. It's not looking, you're not seeing a great upside to that changing drastically in the near future. Let's put it that way. So it's very, very important to get started, to develop the habit, because as the habit gets going, so will the opportunity to find more and more to put toward that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that beats just waiting to say, okay, an ideal amount for me to put away would be this much. I don't have that now, so I'll wait until I have that. Well, no, you build. That's just how it goes. You build. Just like everything else, you start, you develop the habit, and as the habit goes, you'll find it easier to come and bring more.
I couldn't agree with you more, Glenn. I mean, that's so true. And, I'd like to add to that for persons to ask themselves, look and say, do you already have RSP or TFSA? And is this something that your employer is offering, right? Because a lot of times we work at a place and we're not sure exactly what they're offering. So if you're not sure, just call your employer, and you can call your insurance agent just to inquire about these plans, right? And I know Glenn says to start, but I'm going to challenge you to start one by the end of this month, if possible. And just ask yourself, who will you call, right? So, I mean, if you have a financial advisor, talk to your financial advisor. If you don't have one, I mean, Glenn will be happy to speak to you. Just check in our description below for information for Glenn, and you'll see his contact information. And I'd like to hear from you in the comments below. Have you started saving for retirement as yet? And if not, why? And if you are, what encouraged you to start saving? Leave your comments below. I'd really love to know. All right. So then we just move on to mistake number 5. So Glenn, my final mistake on my list is money mistake number 5, not having enough insurance. And I know this is one of your favorite topics. So Glenn, let me know what you have to say on this.
Well, Genese, that is so true. Whether that's in the health insurance arena, whether that's in, if you're a homeowner or even a renters or homeowners insurance to cover the loss of your stuff, right? Or whether that has to do with auto insurance, right? We are wired to do or to ask for what's the cheapest thing, right? As opposed to saying sometimes, what's the best thing for my situation?
Mm-hmm.
And it rarely is the exact same thing. Rarely is, right? And nobody thinks about it until when they need it. And what do you generally hear? if I had known, or if somebody had told me, or I wish I had done. And at that
Mhm.
point, it's too late, right? So you want to make sure that you have all your insurances up to date. Figure out what
Yes.
you should have, and then go out and get it. And we do realize, I mean, when it comes to some you do have to qualify for, and you may not exactly. But wouldn't you want to know ahead of time so you know what to do if there's a situation that arises and you don't have that in place? At least it's not a surprise to you, right? So you have to get things in place because the stuff, look, if you don't have home insurance, right? And by the way, you should. Your neighbor has a fire, your place burns down. Ugh, what are you gonna do? I mean, I know GoFundMe is getting more and more popular, but it is just that it's a popularity contest,
Mhm.
right? And there's a lot of people out there asking for help, needing help, and there's only so much funds to go around. So you need to be responsible for yourself and your family and get things in place, right? Because at the end of the day, it gives you control. It gives you control over replacement values. It gives you control over legacies. It gives you control over treatment in case of like health insurance. So having more control is what most of us want in our life. And you have the power to make that a reality. So get on it, right? You know, a lot of times I hear stuff like, I have a policy, I don't know what it covers. Well, I'll tell you, I do life, critical illness, disability, health benefits, but I don't do home and auto. So with my home and auto policy, I was like, I don't know what I have. So you know what I did? I called up my broker and I said, hey, go through this with me and tell me what I have and tell me if it's efficient for my situation and if I need to be doing any changes. And he did a great job of that, went through with me. Now I understand a lot of those, we're not looking for, the details of the clauses. What I'm asking is, what do I have? What in your expertise am I lacking in? How does it make sense for me to do it? What would it cost to get it done properly? And what happens if I don't have it and I need to make a claim? And you know what? Went through that, felt way better, made some
Mhm.
adjustments, actually saved some money on some and spent a little on others, but I felt better because the coverage matched what I needed for peace of mind. So it gives me peace of mind, which allows me to have some sense of control, knowing that if this happens, then I have this recourse. And that, like I said, gives me peace of mind so I can go on about my business and do the things I want to do and love to do, right?
Right.
So that's the same, I would say. I'll ask folks, do you have insurance? And they'll say, oh, yeah, I got some insurance. Okay, what type? Well, no, I just have insurance.
Mhm.
It's important what type you have. First, let me say, not to discount it. If you've got, if you say I have some life insurance, that's great. You went out and you made sure you have some. Now, we want to make sure that it's going to do what you expect it to do. And in order to do that, you probably need to get that reviewed. You know, you don't want to be looking at it and saying, oh, I have this. And then in 2 years, the price jumps up by 10, 12 times because that happens all the time. You're not prepared for that increase, but you still need the coverage. In fact, you might need more than you had before. So this is why it's good to be proactive with these things, right? You want to see, what do I have? How long does it last? Does the pricing change? And for those of us with like home and auto, it seems like those policy charges increase every year. And in my limited knowledge, because it's not my area of expertise, I say, look, there's always a claim somewhere, and this thing goes based off claims. So I just expect my home and auto to increase every year. And if it doesn't, it's a pleasant surprise, right? But I hear that I haven't made a claim. How come mine's going up? Well, we've had some fires, some floods, some damage with weather, and we all share in that. Now the difference with those in an individual policy owned by you, right? Owned by you. Say, for example, my life insurance policy. So COVID happened. Thankfully, not a lot of people died. But if something comes that wipes out a bunch of people, understand the insurance company is not going to give me a surprise next year and increase my premiums. Why? Because the nature of what I have says this is what you pay for this amount of time and it will not change. And if there's an increase, this is what it increases to at this time. And I know that ahead of time. And if I forget, I can go and review, right? Or I have a policy that says this is what you pay for this long. That's all. No matter what happens in the world, there'll be no increase. There's a lot of comfort in that, in just knowing what you've got, right? So the bottom line is you need it, and then you should review what you have to make sure it still meets your needs, because life changes, right? Family members get added, you take on more responsibilities. You might have less responsibilities and not need as much in some situations, but you want to review to make sure you're current. And I can go on and on and on about this, but I mean, did you have any specific questions, Genese?
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think you've covered quite a bit, Glenn. I mean, and that's really good. I mean, and the most important thing is just to review your policies, right? And I'd like to add to, if you have your notes right in, just to list all your insurance policies too, right? And just include your payout limits and your benefits on each, right? So as Glenn talked about your home insurance and your renter's insurance, your health insurance, your auto insurance, your life insurance. I mean, there are other insurances, right? And I mean, you have to ask yourself, I mean, what insurance do you need that you don't already have? But you're not going to figure out everything else, right? So as I say, speak to your financial advisor, right? So now that you know some of the money mistakes to avoid to achieve your financial success, know that this is just a process, right? I mean, it's always a process. You're not trying to get everything done right away. So speak to your financial advisor. I cannot stress that enough. If you don't have a financial advisor, Glenn would be happy to sit with you and go through all the things he discussed today and more. Whatever questions you have, you write them down. You just bring it to him, and just check in the description below for Glenn's contact information. And if you'd love to hear more on these topics, click the subscribe button to get notification and give us a thumbs up for sure if you found this information useful. All right. And just remember, be vigilant about how you manage your money in order to achieve that financial success. All right. Thanks again for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again. Here in the comments. Don't forget to put your comments in. We love hearing from you. Check our description below and just check to see if there's anything that you'd like to know. And we will see you again in our next video. We'll talk again. Bye for now.
All right, thanks, guys. Don't forget, subscribe, like, leave a comment. Let us know. I'm going to add a little bit to this, Genese. Let us know. None of that made sense to me. It's not for me. I have more questions about this because we can kind of tailor the topics to give you answers to your curiosities and questions. So subscribe, like, and comment. All right, we appreciate it. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye.